Hello audience, and you are welcome to this tutorial class. In this maths class, we are going to be focusing on the topic differentiation. Differentiation is an aspect of calculus. The other two aspects of calculus is limit of function and integration. But in this very class, we are going to focus on differentiation. How do we find the differential function of a given function? Let's focus our attention on the board. On the board here, we have this function y equals to ax raised to the power n. If you want to find the differential function, you simply multiply this power by the coefficients. And from the power, we also minus 1. And that is what you can see. The power is n, the coefficient is a. N times a, then from n as well, n minus 1. Yes, that is how we find the general rule. Now talking about turning points of a given function. Just like this very graph, if you have this graph, here is the maximum point, while this is the minimum point. At this turning point, we have our y, we have our x. Hence, the dy dx here is 0 at any given turning point. But in order for us to know the nature of the turning point, we are going to take the second differential of any given function. So when you first differentiate the first time, we now differentiate the second time. But when you take the second differential, when you get a number that is greater than 0, you should know fully that that is a minimum point. If you take the second differential and you get a number that is lesser than 0, that is what? A maximum point. Please take note. When the second differential is less than 0, is maximum point, whereas if it is greater than 0, is minimum point. Now let's apply that to the examples we have on the board. We have two examples. The first, we are asked to find the value of x for which the function 3x cubed minus 9x squared is minimum. Let's see which of these options will be correct. So number one, the solution now, we are given y is equal to 3x cubed minus 9x squared. Now, you remember we said at turning point, the y there is 0. So we need to get what is the turning point value. Now take the differential, the y dx equals to the power times the coefficients now. So that is 3 times 3 will give us 9. From the power minus 1, that is 2. Minus, same thing then, we have 18x. Doing this now, we said at turning point, the y dx is equal to 0. Hence, this very given function that we get now, we equate it to 0. 9x squared minus 18x is equal to 0. To factor this out, let's see, 9x and x minus this 2 equals to 0. So from here we have that 9x is equal to 0 and x minus 2 equals to 0. So that means finally our x value, which are the turning point value now, is 0 and this will become 2. Now the task is there for us to calculate which of them will be maximum and which one will be minimum out of the 0 and 2. And look at the question, both 0 and 2 are in the option. However, we need to know which one is the minimum, which one is the maximum. We can only know that by applying the rule. What does the rule say? The rule said if it is maximum point, our second differential should be less than 0, and if it is a minimum point, our second differential should be greater than 0. That means we are going to take the second differential of this very differentiation. Now, the second differential, the square y dx squared, will give us 18x minus 18. Now let's test it for both points. At x equal to 0, that means 18 bracket 0 minus 18 equals to 0. That means what we have here is minus 18. Now imagine we have our second differential to be minus 18. This minus 18 now is a number less than 0. That means that point of 0 is a maximum point. And the question is focusing on minimum point. So that means 0 is not the answer. Let's test for 2. If we use 2, at x equal to 2 now, then that means this is 18 times 2. 18 times 2 will be 36 minus 18 equals to 0. So that means this function will give us positive 18. So positive 18 now is greater than 0. And when you have the second differential to greater than 0, that means it's a minimum point. That means 2 is the correct answer. Now let's go for the second question. Looking into this, find the value of x for which function f of x equals to this. Now let's do that. X 2x cubed minus x squared minus 4x plus 4. When you take the first differential, dy dx is going to be 8x minus 2x minus 4. You can simply simplify this since we see that 2 is common to both. If you divide 2 by 2, this is 6. This is 6x, and not this is x squared, and this 2x, and this 4. Yes. You will simply divide 2 by 2 so that we can simplify this function. We are going to have 3x squared minus x now minus 2. Now let's get this solved quadratically. This is minus 6. You see that this is very quite different from the previous one because it leads us to quadratic function where the root of the equation will now serve as our turning point. Then we'll test for the nature of the turning point. Now in this, that means the two values can be minus 3 plus 2. So let's put that 3x squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 2. So if you want to factor this out, 3x x minus 3, that's minus 1 plus 2 to bracket x minus 1 equals to 0. So to finish this up, plus 2 x minus 1 is equal to 0. So from here, the two values we can get is x equals to minus 2 over 3 and x is equal to 1. When we have these two, which of them will be minimum point and which of them will be maximum point? That means we are going to do the second differential of this. So the second differential is d square y dx squared of this is going to give us 12x minus 2. So let's put the two numbers and test. If you put 1 for instance, this will be 12 times 1, which is 12. 12 minus 2, that is 10, using 1. 10 is a number greater than 0. And when your second differential is greater than 0, that means it's what? It's a minimum point. That means, and the question here is focusing on maximum point. So let's test for minus 2 over 3. If we use minus 2 over 3 now, 12 into bracket minus 2 over 3 minus 2. So 3 here 1, 3 here 4. 4 times this is 8. 8 minus 2. So our 8 minus 2 will give us 6. This is minus 8. And minus 8 minus 2 is going to give us minus 10. So having a number of minus 10 is a number that is less than 0. So when your second differential is less than 0, that means it's going to be maximum point. Hence, the point of minus 3 over 2 is the correct answer. Thank you.